Good morning and welcome to Inside South Florida. I'm Dave Azer. Today, hurricane season is here. Are you prepared? We've got an expert to tell you what you need to do. Plus, you'll meet Candy G, one of the most inspirational South Floridians anywhere. And also, there's a great new art space in South Florida. You'll get to meet the super cool co-founders of it. That and more as Inside South Florida starts now. Well, don't look now, but it's hurricane season. And whether or not one hits, it is guaranteed to rain an awful lot this summer. So here with some expert tips on what you need to do to prepare yourself and your home is Paul Licata with Dean Mitchell Restoration. Paul, I know it's a busy time of year for you, so thank you so much for coming in today.
Yeah, Dave, thanks a lot for having me. I really appreciate being on the show.
It's definitely great to have you here, and it's our pleasure to have you here because I know that people all over South Florida are starting to get a little nervous, a little more mindful of the next few months and all the rain that's probably coming, hurricane or no hurricane. Mm-hmm. So we're going to spend some time talking about tips on how to protect your home and things like that. But first, talk to me about your company and what you guys are all about.
Dean Mitchell Restoration, we're a full-service restoration company. And what that means is, yes, we're the first responders. We're the guys that you call and we show up at 2 in the morning, when you have that flood or you have that fire. But we're also take it to the next level where we're licensed general contractors, and Dean Mitchell could actually take the job from that flood to completion and to, like we like to say, to restore it to better than before.
Not to talk too much about your competition, but you said one thing and immediately I thought, well, that's great. You'll show up at 2 in the morning.
Yes.
Are many other companies that, reputable or not? Is that something that really sort of makes you guys stand out?
Well, in looking for a restoration company, you always want to find a reputable one. But a lot of companies will say that, yes, they will show up at 2 in the morning to respond to the call. But, the big question there is, what time did you call them first? Did you call them at 10 o'clock at night and they showed up at 2 in the morning? We generally promise our customers that we'll be there within an hour from the time that they call us. So we have that rapid response mindset that, we want to make sure that the customer is taken care of. And usually when they're calling us, they're panicking. Sure. So it's that time and need. So not only is it, do we need to start the process of the remediation and the restoration, but we're kind of there to come for them and say, listen, we've been through this 100 times before. We know what to do. We'll get you back on your feet. Everything will be okay.
Just from a sort of a practical business standpoint, you show up. Are there a lot of preliminary questions about insurance and things like that, or can you guys get to work right away? Because I would imagine it'd be the worst thing in the world for a homeowner to have you guys in the building and ready to work, but because of insurance or whatever, nobody can do anything.
One of the key things in the restoration business, and a lot of people don't realize this, is you want to get the restoration company out as soon as possible, because the quicker we're out there, the smoother the claims process and the better the end result's going to be in the restoration work. If we respond quickly and we're there within the first few hours of that event happening, then we could save a lot of things that might have been lost.
You've probably seen in your day down here some homes that have just been ravaged, I would imagine. What are some of the more common things that you see when you go to a home?
Well, the most common things we see is the flooding. And when people think of flooding, they think of the lake behind their house. Because of the rains, it filled up and it leaked into the house. But a lot of times it's broken pipes. A lot of the calls that we get are broken pipes, which cause floods in areas of the house. We've had hot water tanks burst in a condo unit on the 17th floor, and that 30-gallon tank leaked all the way 5 floors down. So not only did that affect that particular unit owner where the tank was, but it went all the way down 5 floors, affecting the lives of how many different people.
Sure. All right. So being that it is hurricane season, hopefully we won't get one. Knock on wood. But let's talk a little bit about hurricane preparedness. You always hear get the bottled water, get the batteries. Everybody knows that right now.
Absolutely.
But what are some things that maybe people don't think about that they should?
Well, yes, it is important to make sure you have the bottled water, the batteries, and all the normal everyday tips that you do here. A lot of things that from the restoration point of view, from what we see, is the maintenance. One of the big things is your windows. You do an assessment of your house. Make sure all the caulking on your windows is adhered properly. Make sure that there's no cracks in it. You want to take a look at your roof. Have a roofer come in and do a roof inspection. You want to take a look at a big thing is skylights. This has actually happened to me, where I had a leak in my skylight, and when I had my roofer go up and take a look at it, the membrane around it, over just the elements and wear and tear, had pretty much deteriorated, and the water came right in through into my bathroom.
Wow.
So those are the types of things that people need to be mindful of when hurricane season, or it doesn't even have to be a hurricane. It could be a big heavy rain, and you'll start seeing the effects of some of these things.
And another point that you had mentioned to me earlier I thought was fascinating was swimming pools and what a danger they could be.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that you need to keep your eye on throughout the storm itself, or throughout the heavy rain, is the water level of your pool. What will happen is once the rain accumulates, the pool water has nowhere else to go but up and out. And we just had a case where it went up and out into the guy's living room. So we responded to that call about 4 weeks ago, and it was a nightmare. There's pumps on the pool that will pump out the water, so you can lower it yourself.
Right.
You don't have to have a pool.
You don't have to get the pail.
No. You
Get
don't
the
have to
together.
get the chain, a bucket chain of people with buckets and empty out the pool. No, not necessary.
Let's talk about office buildings. If you have any advice for people that work in big offices or run big offices, things that they should be aware of.
Well, I mean, one of the biggest things, and whether it be an office or a residential homeowner, is make sure that you vet a restoration company. You go through and you go online and you do some research, and you want to talk to a restoration company. You could get on priority lists where you have first responder calls, and you guys are, and that person is on a list where they will be a first responder. You could get pricing up front, where you'll know what it's going to cost at 2 in the morning when that guy comes out to respond to that loss. There's also other things where there's fuel surcharges that some companies charge and some companies don't. You want to go with a company that doesn't charge those. So there's a little add-ons that restoration companies sometimes put on there, and you could find companies that don't. So that's one of the things that you really need to look at and investigate.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to be done before the rains come, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's nonstop.
Last thing I wanted to ask you was FaciliSmart. What is that?
FaciliSmart is Dean Mitchell's proprietary software program. It's an emergency preparedness facility management software program that actually helps reduce loss in the event of an emergency and helps expedite the claims process. What FaciliSmart does is one of our technicians, a Dean Mitchell technician, will go out and do a site analysis. And that Dean Mitchell technician is going to go out and identify every critical building component that needs to be shut down in the event of an emergency situation. Water valves, gas shutoffs, electrical boxes, all types of things that usually it's only one guy knows where they are. And what we like to say, if that guy's down in Key West at 3 in the morning not answering his phone, who's going to find this stuff? So what we do is we make it accessible. It's a web-based program where I could pull it up on my iPhone. The property manager could pull it up on an iPad, any web-enabled device.
All right, we're out of time, but quickly give me your website, how people can get a hold of you.
The website's deanmitchellgroup.com, and the phone number is 561-881-8567.
And on your website, you have great advice and tips and information on FaciliSmart as well. Thank you so much for coming in. It was great to talk to you, and have a great summer. Hopefully, you don't see too much damage, but have a great summer.
Excellent. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you, Paul. When we come back, an incredibly inspirational South Florida woman who went from peanut butter to private jets. Her story is next.